In this video, I will talk about muscle spindles. Muscle spindle are receptors that signal the changes in length and tension of the muscle. Its location is within an independent capsule parallel to the main muscle. To understand this point, we will look at the image. In this image, you will see there is a small capsule. This is muscle spindle. This is enlarged in the image beside it. Here you will see two types of fiber, the pink extrafusal or force generating fibers and the orange part intrafusal fibers or sensory fibers. The intrafusal fibers are again in two colors, the orange contractile part, the white non-contractile part, and again the orange contractile part. From the name itself, you will see the contractile parts can create contraction, that is, these fibers can change in length, but the non-contractile part cannot change, and this has the purpose of sensory function. You will also notice that in contractile part, it is innervated by gamma motor neurons from CNS. It is a general fact that the nerves going from CNS to the muscle are motor neurons. That is, they will send impulses to the fibers to contract, and the ones that are going to the CNS from the muscle are sensory, that is, they will give information to the CNS. The anatomy. Extrafusal muscle fibers, like I said, comprises of the bulk of muscle and form the major force generating structure. Intrafusal muscle fibers are buried inside the muscle and they contain efferent receptors for stretch, but they also contain contractile elements. That is contractile part, then non-contractile part, then contractile part. So the contractile part contains contractile elements and the non-contractile part contains receptors for stretch. So how do they work? The action. So they are stretched when the muscle lengthens and they are shortened when the muscle contracts. Here is the image of a relaxed muscle. You will see the length is normal and the size of the spindle is also normal in this. But when it is stretched, when the muscle is stretched, the muscle fibers will lengthen and along with them, the spindle will also lengthen. When the muscle will contract, the length of the muscle will shorten and the spindle will also shorten. So how will this help? The function of this muscle spindle is to alert the brain that nearby joints and soft tissues are in danger of being stretched too far. It is required for motor control, for maintaining posture as well as for stable gait. So it can do this through two ways: stretch or myotatic reflex or reciprocal inhibition. We will first look at stretch reflex. When a muscle is stretched, this change in length is transmitted to the spindle and their intrafusal fibers, which are subsequently similarly stretched. It signals its muscle to contract to prevent it from going too far too quickly in the stretch. So what will happen here? We will look through the diagram. Whenever the muscle fiber is stretched, it will activate the muscle spindle. The muscle spindle will also stretch and it will activate the sensory neuron. This information will be processed in the CNS and it will send the impulse to motor neuron. It will activate the motor neuron and cause contraction of the muscle fiber. So you will see whenever the muscle fiber is stretched, the next step will be its contraction. It will be followed by contraction due to stretch reflex. Next up, we will see reciprocal inhibition. Reciprocal inhibition is the process in which a muscle must relax on one side of a joint to allow for a muscle on the other side of the joint, typically the antagonist, to contract effectively. So, in the previous video, I had talked about agonist and antagonist. This is the same thing. Whenever the agonist relaxes, the antagonist must contract. Whenever the agonist will contract, the antagonist must relax. This is the whole point of it, and it is caused by reciprocal inhibition. So this process is important because it allows for optimal joint function moving through a full range of motion. For this, we will take one example before going to the image. We will look at the elbow joint. Okay, this is the elbow joint. The agonist for elbow flexion is the bicep brachii, and antagonist for elbow flexion is the tricep brachii. Whenever elbow flexion is produced, the bicep will contract and the tricep will relax. Whenever there will be elbow extension, the biceps will relax and triceps will contract. This has to happen for producing full range of joint motion. This is the point. So now we will go to the picture and understand this. One muscle is contracted, its agonist is automatically inhibited. This is the agonist muscle along with its muscle spindle. So whenever the muscle spindle is activated, it will send the impulses to the CNS through sensory neuron. Now what it will do? It will activate its own motor neuron as well as inhibit the motor neuron of agonist muscle. So its contraction will not occur and the antagonist muscle will relax. So this was about muscle spindle. If you understood the concept from this video, like, subscribe and share it.